I think it's more like how I'm showing up when I get disappointed or, if things doesn't go my way. I have a hard time letting go of stuff sometimes. And I think I've been a little bit upset today because I just can't let one thing go in particular. And I'm like, why can I just not let it go? How hard can it be? Right. So I've been trying to do my stuff that I do when I have to let go of things or move on. I've been at the gym working out. I've been trying to, I took a nap yesterday. That was so nice.
I love a good
Yeah.
nap. Yes.
Yeah, me too. I went to see the horses yesterday, which was so much fun, but it's like still kind of like nagging in my head, like, why didn't I do that? Should I have done that? Blah, blah, blah.
Welcome to The Air is Free, the podcast that helps you stop gripping what you can't control and start embracing what you can. Join Frida Karsberg and me, Sue Willoughby, as we dive into real conversations about resilience, personal freedom, and finding your center in a chaotic world. Inspired by the Swedish expression "luften är fri," which means the air is free, this show is about letting go, trusting the process, and remembering that some things in life were meant to be free and limitless. So take a deep breath, let go of what's weighing you down, and let's get into it. Hello, beautiful listeners. Welcome to The Air is Free, otherwise known as Luften är fri. How are you today, Frida?
I mean, why don't we start with you, Sue, first? How are you? Then we can talk about me.
Okay, folks, you can see where this is going to go. I'm doing well. I had a riding lesson. I just came from the barn, so I get to spend some time with Moose. He was giving it, so on last week's show, or on a couple weeks ago, we had your friend Frida, the other Frida, on, and she was talking about horses and communicating with them and whether they give a yes or a no, and if it's a big yes or a big no. And Moose gave a big no today to my instructor who was riding him, and Moose tried to buck him off. And that's kind of unlike him, but he'd rather not. I think, he'd like to be just an expensive pasture ornament, I believe. So
Yeah.
anyway, nobody got hurt, but Moose did not get any cookies at the end of that ride. So I'm laughing because he didn't try and buck me off, but I don't ask much of him anyway. So we just had a lovely conversation, and so I'm doing well. The past couple of weeks, I feel like there's been an energy shift, and in a good way. And I know that there's some planetary action happening and all that good stuff, as our friend Renee Spears talks about on her podcast. Free plug, Renee, abundology.com. She has a podcast every Sunday that gives you an energy update for the week and some astrological stuff, which I love. So I'm doing okay. I feel good. I feel like, I'm not focusing on things that are bad or negative. I'm staying off the political spectrum and just trying to focus on things that make me feel good so that I can raise my vibration or keep my vibration high, and also then have that be a contagion for others, hopefully. So that's how I'm showing up today. How are you showing up today?
Good. Thank you for sharing that, Sue. I mean, I'm good, quote unquote, but I've been struggling with some stuff lately, and I don't think it's like the actual thing that I'm struggling with that kind of like gets stuck in me. I think it's more like how I'm showing up when I get disappointed or, if things doesn't go my way. I have a hard time letting go of stuff sometimes. And I think I've been a little bit upset today because I just can't let one thing go in particular. And I'm like, why can I just not let it go? How hard can it be? Right?
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do my stuff that I do when I have to let go of things or move on. I've been at the gym working out. I've been trying to, I took a nap yesterday. That was so nice.
I love a
Yeah.
good nap. Yes.
Yeah, me too. I went to see the horses yesterday, which was so much fun, but it's like still kind of like nagging in my head, like, why didn't I do that? Should I have done that? Blah, blah, blah. I also did pull a card this morning because like now I need some action here. I need to just move past this. So, I've been doing my work, but it's still kind of like stuck in my head.
So if you had a client come to you with that scenario, what would you tell them? How would you work with them to guide them through that process?
Great question. I would first tell them to take a deep breath and just sigh it out. if they can. And then I would probably try to ask them how they're feeling in their body when they think about this thing that's going on, and maybe start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take a deep breath then. Let's eat our own dog food, Frida.
Okay. Why
Have you
not?
heard that expression before? Right?
Yes.
Okay, let's eat our own dog food. So let's take a big deep breath. Everybody, just breathe along with Frida. Let's
Okay, let's do it.
inhale through the nose, let it out through your mouth. I think it might take, in your case, a little bit more than one deep breath. So continue to take a few deep breaths until you feel like you're actually back in your body, if you can do that.
Yeah.
And as you're getting back into your body, think about, like you said, where are you feeling this disappointment, discomfort, this, I can't let go of this thing that's bothering me? Where does that manifest in your physical being?
Okay, I'm like, I have a hard time breathing. I feel it in my chest for sure, like chest area, like almost, yeah, around my heart, like this, my upper body, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So tension in your chest and in your, like when you breathe and
Yeah, almost, it's like almost that I'm feeling like a pressure, like it's something on my chest.
okay.
That's what I'm sensing.
Okay. So when you feel that pressure in your chest and in your body, how does it manifest? I mean, do you feel that first or do you feel the disappointment first?
Oh, good question. Let me think or feel. I think I actually feel the feeling in my body first that reminds me about my disappointment, if that makes any sense.
So when you have that sensation in your body, let's say you get some news that you're not thrilled about or whatever, you feel that sensation in your body. What do you do then, typically?
I freak out inside and get mad at myself for feeling it, because in my head, I know I don't have to feel like this. But my body's telling me that I'm disappointed at myself, and
So are you disappointed in yourself or in something else? So when it's a reaction, right? So you feel that in your body, and you know that physical manifestation, that pressure in your chest, is as a result of something that has happened to you externally. Okay?
yes,
Right? And then you get disappointed, I heard you say, with yourself. Now, tell me more about that.
yes, of course. So I think I feel like I should have done things differently, or maybe thought about stuff differently. So it would be a different outcome. It's work related, so it's like all about me being perfect and doing my job and not fail. I think that's where, everything is kind of like, that's where the disappointment comes from.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'm going to go back to that body and to that feeling. You felt that, and you knew that something was coming. What could you have done differently when you felt that in your body? It's like we all get some sensation or some feeling in our body when we are triggered by something external. So what could you have done differently? Yeah, I heard you say also that you went down a spiral, right? A little story spiral of berating yourself, it sounded like, for lack of a better word. Actually, that's a pretty good word. What could you have done differently when you felt that tightness in your chest and when you felt that physical sensation around that trigger, that disappointment?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could have treated myself differently. I could also use my body and maybe take a couple of deep breaths and, try to calm myself down and my mind down, because, that's the one that's spiraling. But I think I was so caught up in the thing of thinking that I did something wrong that I didn't have time to actually just stop, pause, and hey, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's interesting. It happens to all of us. And I think that this is I love that you're being vulnerable and honest about this is happening to you. Just because we're coaches doesn't mean that this doesn't happen to us. So that's why I'm like, okay, Frida, how would you coach yourself, right? How could I coach you to figure out what's going on? And it kind of comes down to if you feel that sensation in your body, something happens, you're going to react. And if you can't catch yourself, then it's going to escalate. And it sounds like once it escalates for you, or once it escalated for you, you could not bring it back to a place where you felt safe and grounded.
Yeah. That is true. And that is true. But I'm also thinking when you're saying that, it's not like it's getting more and more and more. I think it's like a constant blob in my chest that doesn't really move away. Yeah.
What can you do to help it dissipate? I know you said you went to the gym, so that's one thing. You do physical activity, it
Yeah,
sounds
so good. So good. That was great for an hour. But then it came back. I mean, there's a lot of things I can do. I've been trying to accepting the fact that it is what it is, you know.
like.
There's nothing I can do. What I've been doing is I've been going through stuff in my head, thinking like, could I done this, differently, almost like a list, and everything is kind of like, no, this is, this happened and it's okay. Things happen and, we move on. I think, yeah, just like recognize and honor that I am disappointed at this time. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to move on. But I think I just have to sit with the feeling instead of just trying to push it away.
Yeah, I think that is a really important thing to realize. And sometimes we do have to sit in it and be part of it. And that doesn't mean wallow in it.
No.
It just means feel the feels, right? And try not to spin off in our heads, but feel it in our bodies and be able to understand, okay, it's nothing I did. What can I do now that will make me feel better and move beyond it so that I can let this go? And we've had podcasts about letting things go.
Yeah.
What would you tell a client?
I don't know. I have to now I'm so in myself right now, thinking about myself. Sorry. No, but I mean, like, yeah. No, but I'm thinking like you have to take it one step at a time,
Right.
turtle steps, take it slow, reflect on how you're feeling, like how can we move forward? But it's not like we want to like shove it under the rug. We of course want to sit in it, but then we also need to prepare ourselves like, okay, what's the next step to take here to actually feel better? So I guess that would be.
So what's your next step?
No, well, so as I told, like, okay, I love to think that things happen for a reason. And we talk about that a lot. Even though I don't understand why things happen for a reason, I kind of like want to believe in that. So what I did, as I said, I pulled a card and the card was really good. So I was happy about that. And then I'm like, okay, so this happened for a reason. So now I'm trying to look at the positive effects of this disappointment instead.
Would you like to share that card with us?
Yes, I can do that.
You don't have to read the whole card, but just
No,
share like the
yeah.
summary of it. What was the
Yeah.
card and what?
I'm just gonna say like I use this deck of cards with my clients. It's called Touched by a Horse. It's fun, and the card I pulled looks like this. It's a horse.
Yeah, jumping into the sky. For those of you who are just listening,
Yeah. What is it doing? It's jumping in the
it's
sky.
just
It's
sort of
kind of
leaping
like,
in the air, like with
yeah, it
a lot of
looks,
colorful, sparkly stuff behind it.
yeah, yeah. He looks powerful to me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and the cards it said clearing. And I'm not going to read the whole card, but I'm just going to read a few. It says, break out of all negativity or restraints that are about you at this time. You have been held back recently and have gathered strength and energy. And then at the end, it says, use your newfound force and energy to direct change in the most beneficial directions. So I'm like,
Yeah. I think that's very fitting. And the illustration on the card, the horse does look like he or she, they're powerfully, releasing. It looks
yeah,
like a release. It looks like
yeah,
a big release.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on it. But it was nice to share that today. I think that it was very much needed for me to be able to talk about other things. So thank you, Sue, for helping me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you being willing to share it, because sometimes when when something happens and then we have something that we have to do, like we're going to do this podcast and you were showing up with some baggage, right? That's not a negative thing, that you just had some things that were weighing you down. And I did give you the option to not do the podcast. And I think it's important that we you're like, no, I want to, and I want to share this. So I think it is really important, because when we do have something come up and then we have to, a responsibility or something that we have to do, even if the thing is a fun thing, if we're still in our heads and in our bodies and in a way that we just don't feel great about it, and we bring that into the situation, it's going to change the situation. So I love that you are willing to bring that to the table and share that with me and our listeners. And like I said, be vulnerable and talk through it. I also, to your point, sometimes things do catch us off guard, where, with me, like if there's something that I had been thinking about or hoping for, or, we all have expectations. And I think it can come down to that, where when we have expectations around a situation and those expectations are not met. Now, these are not expectations that anybody knew about except for us. And I've done the exact same thing, where I'm like, when I say expectations, it's kind of like getting your hopes up. You're like, I hope this thing happens. I really want to, and then when it doesn't happen, or something is a little bit different than we were anticipating, we can feel blindsided. And we can, like you said, it can put me in a downward spiral. Like you said, and all of the stories start to come up. Why did that happen? Did I not do something right? We start questioning ourselves. And when it was something that we have no control over.
Yeah.
Right. So I appreciate you talking about it. I think that is a pretty interesting topic for today's discussion. And I'd like to just kind of put a bow on it, because I think that people can learn something from that.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
I think so too. I mean, we learn from listening to other people going through things. So I think, I'm up for it always. Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I heard you say, right? And here's some of the things that my takeaways from this that I would like to share with people. Like I said, when you get blindsided by something, first of all, we all have expectations. You can't say don't have expectations. No matter how hard I try personally, there is going to be some level of expectation out of a situation, especially if it's something that I've really been looking forward to. So if we look forward to it, and it may not even be that it didn't meet your, expectation, whatever that was, but it just was like, oh, that wasn't kind of the experience I was hoping for. I think it's really important that you stop and say, why and this is what I do. Why is that bothering me? Why, did I have that huge expectation, or even a little expectation? Because it kind of sets things up for disaster. It can. And then, since the thing didn't turn out the way I had hoped it would, why am I so disappointed? Rather than saying, what did I do wrong? Why did what role? And you can also ask yourself, yes, did I play a role in this? If so, what was the role that I played? Could I have done something differently? No? Okay, great. And then try and release it that way.
Yeah. So smart. Why don't we do that all the time? That would make life so easy
to talk about, right?
I mean,
so what's your next step, Frida? Now that you've talked about it, how do you feel?
I feel so much better. Look, I'm sorry, I'm not, but yeah, I feel so much better. It doesn't feel as heavy in my chest. Honestly, I'm not saying that because, I'm supposed to. It does feel better. I think it's so important also to share how you're feeling, even though people don't always want to listen to that. But, hey, why don't you just give it a shot and see what happens? But my next step is just to be okay with this, and then I'm gonna move on soon and focus on the good stuff that's going to happen after this. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Frida, I want to say thank you for sharing that. And I appreciate that you were willing to do that. And you have some turtle steps to do.
I know. I'm excited.
Well, thanks, Frida, for doing that. And also, if this episode resonated with anyone, I'm probably sure it did, because it certainly resonated with me. I know that there's been a lot of situations where I've been in and I've like, I just beat myself up. And that is kind of that first reaction. What did I do wrong? What did I do? Why doesn't that person like me? Why doesn't, then we spiral out of control.
Yeah.
And if we can just take a moment, take that breath, even that split second can make a big difference. And then when those things keep surfacing, okay, where is it in my body? How can I dissipate that? Go to the gym. Okay. Feel better for a little bit. What else can I do? What else can I do? So, yeah.
Thank you, Sue, for the coaching, because you did some good coaching there.
My pleasure. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Awesome.
Real life example. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning into The Air is Free, otherwise known as
Luften är fri.
You said it so beautifully. And if this has resonated with you, please share it with a friend. Subscribe to the show. And we still have that invitation open. If you want to get coached live on the show, just like Frida did, please let us know. DM the word coach or comment the word coach or hit either one of us up on our Instagrams and we will get you going. So it will be really fun. If there's some topic that you want to talk about or that you want us to talk about, please send us a message. You can comment on the podcast and we're happy to discuss things. So until next week, remember, the air is
free. Oh my God. We have to work on that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
That's it for today's episode of The Air is Free. I hope this conversation gave you something to think about, something to let go of, and maybe even a little more space to breathe. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, rate and review the podcast because it helps more people find us and join in the conversation. And if something resonated with you, share it on social media and be sure to tag us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can follow us on Instagram, hit us up on our websites. Just come, say hi, send us a message, or let us know what topics you'd love to hear more about. Until next time, take a deep breath, let go of what you can't control, and remember, Luften är fri.